Shipping, billing, admin, payroll, marketing. You're managing all the things, so why waste time sending important documents the old-fashioned way? Mail and ship when you want, how you want with Stamps.com. Print postage on demand 24/7 and schedule pickups from your office or home. Save up to 90% with automated rate shopping. That's why over 1 million small businesses trust Stamps.com. Go to Stamps.com and use code PODCAST to try Stamps.com risk-free for 60 days.
Hey, y'all. As a growing family, my husband and I love game night, especially when it's Wayfair edition.
Let's do it. You gotta name as many Wayfair furniture and decor categories as you can. Ready? Go.
Sofas, bar stools, beds, ottomans, outdoor seating, bookshelves, kitchen tables, garden sheds, mid-century modern lamps.
Time. Nice. You got 9 out of a lot. Not too bad. Keep practicing by visiting Wayfair.com, where you can shop every style for every home.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Inside Out Smile. I'm your host Dr. Amber Q, and today I'd like to start with a quick question. I would like to ask you whether you can think of the last time you actually felt genuinely connected, like seen by another person, feeling grounded in your body and present in the world. And we're not talking about via Zoom or any other sort of screen mediated thing. I think what I'm asking you is, when was the last time you can recall being connected rather than plugged in? Because I think there's a difference between the two, between being alive versus consuming content. Because today I really want to speak about disconnection from people, from each other, from nature, and from ourselves. I know the last couple of episodes have probably been quite reflective. And I just feel that we live in such a time of sort of constant sort of contact, but chronic loneliness. I find it very ironic that we can live in cities. I know some of you may not be in a city, but, just the fact that we can message people instantly, but there's a lack of community. We can stream, any place, but we don't actually go outside and listen to the real sort of wind blowing, rain falling. It's like we can optimize everything, but we've become exhausted by it. And I mean, that's how I feel. And I think that, disconnection isn't just about loneliness. We know there's a loneliness epidemic. And I feel that disconnection is more than that, because it's kind of like life is happening, almost through a looking glass, right? And everything is about being productive, being informed, being busy, and everyone speaks about that, don't they? Entrepreneurs speak about that, and business mentors speak about that, and just everyone speaks about that. But are we actually nourished? And obviously when I started this podcast, I speak about sort of self-leadership, creativity, confidence. And obviously from that, you may have your own business or you may have a career. But the thing is, we're disconnected, which is why I speak about inner skills, is that because without those inner skills, it's like building a house on sand, right? Because your outer sort of results depend on that inner stability, which is your attention, self-awareness, sort of energy, emotional regulation, which comes from self-awareness, and obviously meaning. And the reason I want to speak about this today, and I think this has come more to the forefront of my mind, is because of those recent things that have happened. But I feel that communication is everywhere, but connection is rare, because connection requires actual presence, eye contact, shared time, shared reality. But modern life literally trains the opposite. It's just rapid, it's just shallow, it's just partial attention. And in fact, I was speaking with a friend the other day, and I hadn't spoken to this friend for a long time. And I was actually speaking with them about death, about the recent things that I discussed in the previous episode. And whilst I was speaking, that friend sent me a picture of his pets. And I was kind of like, I'm talking about something that means quite a lot to me. And you're obviously not paying attention because you're looking at your pet, taking a picture, and then you've sent that whilst I've been speaking. And they weren't paying attention to what I was saying because they were actually misunderstanding it. And so the thing is, sometimes even when we meet, are we actually arriving? We're looking at pets, we're looking at messages, we're thinking about something else. So it's almost like one foot is kind of elsewhere, essentially. And the nervous system reads that. My nervous systems, read that during that conversation. And I think that presence is so important. It makes you a better listener, better leader, better partner. It just improves life all around. Because connection isn't just one person speaking to another person. It's literally that eye contact, that shared context, those small moments, and the feeling that that person is actually with you. I didn't feel that my friend was with me when we were speaking on the phone. And I think that, it's not their fault. It's because modern life strips that away. Everything is short form. Everything is remote. Everything is transactional. I don't know. People, even if you message someone, depending on who it is, they might respond later. They may swipe you, and I don't know. It's just that I think the nervous system has, is being trained. And I think I touched upon this the other week when I said that I'd heard something about, now emotions becoming so superficial that there's no meaning, because meaning comes from depth. And we don't have that anymore because our nervous system is being rewired to accept and to not just to accept it, but to expect it as well. And that is distance and superficiality. And so when we do meet, whether it's in person or on the phone, etc., we're half present, One foot is somewhere else, and, and the person is just not all there. And I think there's so many, I don't know. I feel that, the deepest connection is internal, which is why I started this podcast. Because if your attention is constantly pulled different places, you're going to find it harder to connect with your own self, whether it's hunger, stress, sadness, joy, intuition. And it's great that we have the weight loss jabs, but, really, are they helping? I mean, obviously they're there to help some people who really need them, but I think some people are actually using them to almost, I don't know, I mean, obviously some people do need them, and that's great. It has its place, but I think we really need to learn to hear our own signals, right? Our intuition, which gets buried, hunger, stress, sadness, joy. I mean, so many people are constipated in all these areas. And I think the thing is that obviously tech has been created to be addictive and to take your attention, because that's their business model, right? You keep scrolling, you keep clicking, you're on the platform, they make money. And so from our side, it's like we're outsourcing everything. We're outsourcing boredom and silence. And silence is when we process life. Otherwise, it's just, things are just getting stacked up. And this is why people are so unhappy, I think. Because to have that inner clarity, you require kind of that internal space. and we don't have that internal space. And so, yes, technology is great. It's really helpful in assisting connection. I love it for my friends that live abroad, and it's very convenient and it improves access for so many things. It's wonderful. It's wonderful. And again, it has its place, but it doesn't create meaning in the way that presence does. So it can support connection, but it can't substitute the full human and natural experience. And I feel that, it's great to be in touch with friends, but it's not the same as hugging someone, sharing a meal. I don't know, I think that meaning is made through that kind of shared time, shared effort. If you're doing things together, real belonging. And AI, no matter how helpful this is, it doesn't really give you that. I know the AI companions, but really, does that give a feeling of belonging? Because belonging is when you know real people over a period of time and through shared effort, right? So a lot of friendships can be, I don't want to say institutionalized, but you can meet people at university, when you're volunteering doing something, when you're working in a similar place, right? So I really feel that we have to protect that, right? The things that make us human, especially with the upcoming future, with AI becoming more prevalent. And so how do humans work? Through presence, relationships, nature, and inner quiet. And we just don't have inner quiet anymore, do we? And I think the thing is that nature, oh my gosh, I love nature so much, and we've just totally become disconnected from it. And even though I visit the park as often as I can, I try on a daily basis to get some greenery, like, eating greens and being around green, or greenery rather, because it's not just a vibe. I think being in nature, it's a relationship, right? It's kind of like if you can ground and let grass touch your feet, your body's connecting with earth, and we are made out of clay. Whereas being in kind of these controlled temperatures under artificial light, blah blah blah, we just lose everything, right? And when we lose our circadian rhythm, we become unwell. Can't sleep, we get brain fog, we're not creative. And I just think it's so important to be in nature. And I have to be in nature, because if I'm not in nature, then honestly, I just kind of feel unwell, to be honest. I feel as if something is missing. And obviously at the moment for us in the UK, it is winter. So it is harder to be out. But even if you can be out for a little bit of time, I find for me, it is really, really helpful. So I don't know. I mean, the things that I do is I try to be in nature, right? At least for a couple of minutes. And what I'll do is I don't take anything with me anymore. I think I've mentioned this before. I don't listen to podcasts. I try not to be on the phone, because what I want to do is just look around me. I want to hear the birds. I want to smell the pond, And a really good thing that I like to do to train my attention is, notice 3 things that you can see or 3 things that you can hear. Focus on the birds, maybe focus on the sound of the water, focus on, dogs barking. It's harder with smells actually when you're on the common, because apart from, you might be able to smell a bit of the mud or something, or near the pond, but then apart from that, there's not that much to smell, because there are not that many wildflowers even in the summer. And unless they actually cut the grass and you can smell the grass that's been cut, I love that smell, there's not actually that much to smell. But it's about training yourself to be in the physical world. And I think when you're grounding, walking on the grass, it just restores that emotional balance and decision making. And I think the other thing that's lovely that I always try to do is to have a real world connection, right? Actually speak to somebody in real life and pay attention to them. If they're saying something, listen to what they're saying. And maybe if you can ask them 3 questions, obviously if it's a stranger, that might be hard, but I love saying good morning, good evening, etc. to people. It's just so lovely. And also, one thing that I always try to do is to have some silent time, you know. As I said, I do this when I'm walking in nature. But literally, just have a bit of silent time. I know some people really seem to be scared of this, you know, like having a silent time. I know people who are really, who seem to be really scared of doing that. But I think it's a beautiful thing. And I feel that I enjoy that more and more with each passing day, to be honest. I don't know. But I just wanted to let you know that if you are feeling disconnected, it's not you, it's the world. It's the world that you're living in that's been optimized for everything, but in terms of speed and not depth. And so although productivity is about doing more in less time, the thing is, you want to feel more alive while you're doing that. And time is man-made construct anyway. And time does expand, as we know, within flow. So, I don't know. I really want to do something to create deeper connection. And I'm thinking of setting something up. So maybe I can think of something by next week. I have got some thoughts in my mind. And I just feel that this is just so vital, because I think that when you look at the mental health crisis as well in the world and globally, you know, people are depressed, so many people have anxiety. Why? You know, just deep social anxiety. And that really concerns me. And I do think that you can fix a lot of things with love. Love, care, and attention. And I really want to do something about that. So maybe I'll present something to you guys in the next episode. I don't know. But I feel that if you are looking for more, I don't know, digital balance or better relationships and reconnecting, I don't know, reconnecting with yourself and with others, try those tips, you know. Have some time of silence, connect with a real person at least once a day. And I mean, I think I said this ages ago, but the research shows that you need 7 to 8 hugs a day for mental well-being. And just spend some time around some greenery and speak to that greenery, because do you know what? It is going to respond to you. It's just that you won't understand the language. And until the next episode, let's all create connection and not just change lives, but save lives.